to summer camp. Can you believe this is our third year for summer camp? I am so excited for the cards we have to make this summer, and well, especially this week. You know, I thought about what we could do that would be fun. I loved going to Paris and on the farm last year, but I thought this year I want to do it a little bit different. And so I thought, you know what, the first week, let's celebrate. There are so many things to celebrate, and we have a lot of things going on in our lives that need cards, like birthdays and babies and weddings. So we are going to have a lot of fun. But I thought the first thing I want to talk to you about is our summer camp idea book and journal. I hope you each have one. If you don't, you might want to consider getting one. It is a great reference for us for our cards. We have pictures of the cards we'll be making, and we have measurements, and it's just a helpful tool for you. You can also record some of your experiences. I hope camp this year is more than just making cards. I hope we can have a lot of fun, and I wanted to go over our camp honor code with you. I'm just going to talk about number 1 today, but I think it's really important. The code itself is the same as last year, but the thought behind it is a little different. Number 1, just be you. No one else is you, and that is your superpower. I feel like sometimes we get so concerned about comparing what others have done, and we look at everything that they have as perfect, but yet we didn't see all of the steps or the mess that it took to get there. So we just need to learn to enjoy the journey and enjoy the process, and good enough. We don't have to have perfect to have fun. So that is our first thing I want to consider. And then part of having fun, I just thought you guys would want to know. Let me just find June 22nd. Did you know it's National Eclair Day, National Onion Ring Day, National Kissing Day? So I don't know if you've noticed, but there is a no-bake chocolate eclair recipe in your journal. I have honestly made it 2 times in the last week. It is so good. I hope you have a minute to enjoy it and just try it out. I also want to tell you, in your summer camp idea book and journal, we have our secret sisters. I don't know if you remember at camp you had secret sisters where you would do something nice for someone else, and maybe it was the same person all the time, or maybe it switched up a little bit. But I think Secret Sisters is such a fun idea and notion. So that's part of the reason that our kit always includes enough supplies to make 2 cards, not just 1. Because I know some of us have a problem. We make a card and then we keep it for ourselves. So now we can make a card for ourselves and give one away too. And then over on this side, we have a place to keep track of what you did for your secret sister, and then some just little different activities. I always love movies, so this year, of course, is nothing different. We have movies to look forward to and make time for ourselves. So I'm so excited to get us started. Our first kit, this card has just made me giggle as I've thought about it's looking sharp, even at your age. And I have just laughed out loud to myself as I thought about giving this card to someone. So let me just show you our supplies. We have our new card cutout, 158, with the cactuses. We're going to be using our card cutout 148 that has our stitched frames. And then we're going to be using our antique stripes. Now, I have already cut some areas off of this, so don't mind the size, but we'll talk about that more. And then our raspberry cream stripes, our pink Cosmo gingham, and our new corrugated cardboard. I just love this. It is so fun to work with. So I think the first thing we're going to do is just set this aside, and now we're going to cut out. We're going to work on first. Let me just, easiest maybe to just show you the picture here. We're going to be working out first our embossing or flowering cactus. So this is the card we're going to focus on. And the first thing I'm going to do is just cut out all of the pieces for the cactus and mount it onto my frame. So a couple of things I just wanted to remind you. Some of you have heard me say this before, and I hate to repeat it for those of you that have heard it, but there are so many new people here today that I want to make sure they get all of the tips as well. So one thing, when you're cutting out, make sure you turn your paper and not just your scissors. So I'm just cutting out, and I like to leave just a little bit of a white border around. You don't necessarily need to do that. It's just something that I've gotten used to, and I like the look of it. Okay, on this cactus, I'm going to cut just a little bit bigger, and I'm also leaving a little more white space, and we're going to come back and trim. Now, if you notice, I have been using my big scissors, and I use those most of the time, but if I'm going to come back and do some little detail work, and I really like giving these little prickly things. I can't think of what they're called. Needles? Not sure. But then I take my little scissors and come back and add a little more detail. And I just cut in and around. Sometimes I will cut on one side like this, and then I'll rotate my paper and cut in the next little corner, so you can just see it creates just very fine detail. I'm going to come down for this one and do the same thing. Just cutting out the little spaces in between. I wished I could think of what these are called, but the little prickly things, we all know what they are. Just come back up and fine tune this side a little bit. And again, just cutting down the side. Sometimes I'll pull it out with my scissors if I can't quite get it. This one, I'm really jealous of you ladies that have fingernails. I keep trying to grow fingernails, but so far I've not had that good of luck. Okay, so you can just see we've added a little bit of detail by cutting around the needles. And I just think that gives a lot of interest. Now notice I also left a little bit extra here, and that is so I can tuck it under the pot. So the only other thing we need to do this little cactus is the little flower. And you guys know me, I couldn't help myself. I had to add a pink flower. So again, I'm just cutting out and I'm turning my paper, not really my scissors. And like that, the cutting out isn't perfect, but you don't need to worry about that. When the card all gets assembled, all of that will disappear and you won't even see the discrepancies there. So the next thing, and I'm going to use my big scissors because I like to just take one cut. I'm cutting this smaller frame, the tall narrow one, and I am just using my scissors and just taking a long snip. Now if you wanted to use your paper trimmer, that is a great way to do it as well. So we'll just set that aside. And I also like to use mounting tape. Now there's many different kinds of mounting tape. You can use puffy tape or puffy dots. I've bought this just on a roll at an office supply store, but you can get smaller rolls too. But I like the 3M mounting tape. But whatever works good for you, whatever you have. I've even been desperate and had to cut a piece of cardboard and glue that onto the back of my project. So I'm just going to add a couple of pieces. And then I'm going to refer to the journal just so I can get my placement of how I want to do this. Stuck to the idea book. So I'm just going to come here and I want to place it just about so. So it's not too tall. And then I'm going to add some more mounting tape to my little pot. I love using the mounting tape or the puff dots, whatever you have available. I just love that extra dimension that it gives to a project. So again, I'm just going to put a little bit on the pink flower. Now, of course, you wouldn't need to add this pink flower either. You can just, could do it without, but you can see how that just gives a little more dimension. Now, the other thing that I really like about this card is I love the paper piecing. It is a great way to bring more color into your project, and you can also use your scraps this way. So I am just going to grab the pieces. I've already cut them, but if you notice, I have written in your idea book, I have included those dimensions. So for example, these antique stripes, they are 2 5/8 inches by 2 inches and 2 by 2 7/8 inches. So just to give you an idea, I use my paper trimmer, and I have already cut things off of this just in getting ready for the class. But what you want to do is you want to measure 2 inches in the long direction, like so. If you want your stripes to go the same, direction as in the card. And then you can cut the 2 5/8 and the 2 7/8 inches from here. Now, I've already done that, and I have already cut out my gingham paper and my little stripes. And on my little stripes, I forgot to grab a scuffer. Let's just see if I have one in my desk somewhere. Okay, so I found my scuffer, and all I'm doing is just scuffing off a little bit of this edge. I just like how it gives a little more definition to the paper. So, and then the next thing we have to do is take our sheet of the corrugated cardboard, which I wanted to put every card on it. Between it and another paper that you'll see later, I couldn't decide which was my favorite. So I really like this paper trimmer. It allows you to flip out a little arm so you can cut bigger pieces of paper. And I just need to cut this as 5 1/2 inches. And then I'll just fold it in half. And I want to put, so we have this distressed, ripped edge there. I'm going to just make sure it's on this outside edge where I want to put my card. Fold it. Now you could use a bone folder too if you wanted to crease that a little more. And then this is a little different. So I am just placing my pieces. The gingham goes here, and then the longer piece of the Meadow Antique stripes, I just placed a little bit under the gingham. And this one I placed so the stripes are going in a different direction, which I felt like just gave it a little more interest. And I just kind of get everything positioned. And it doesn't have to be perfect. That's the fun of this, of all of this. Now on this one, I do not care if it has the dimension. In fact, I kind of want it to sit a little flatter. So what I'm going to use, and you can use any adhesive, but I am just going to use my double-sided tape here and just put a little bit on the back. Position it the way I want. Now this one, I'm noticing that it comes up like 4 stripes, hangs out about that far. So I'm just kind of positioning all my little pieces. My little pink stripes come here, but I'm not going to push them down yet because I have my green antique stripes that are actually behind them just a little bit. So I'm just going to stick those down first, and now I can come and add my little raspberry cream stripes. And now I am ready to position my little cactus. And you could either do mounting tape or double-sided on this step of the card. I am just going to go ahead and use regular double-sided tape. And then you can just position your little cactus however you want on your paper piecing. But you see how fun you could have just changing up your color scheme with the different scraps of paper that you have at home. Now, one of the challenges in making birthday cards, now this wouldn't need to be a birthday card, but I'm going to show you how I made it into a birthday card. But one of the challenges, how do you make a card for a man or for a boy? It is so hard because I want everything to be pink. That's my default. But I really tried to think outside of my comfort zone. And so came up with a man card. So let me grab my pieces. For this card, we're going to use the same card cutout, number 158, but we're also going to use our new burlap papers, which adds so much a texture and interest to your card. We're also going to use one of our wooden farmhouse tags, our blue blueberry pie fresh gesso, as well as our forest floor. No, that's not the right one. I got the wrong paper. Excuse me, just 1 second here. Okay, I found it. Goodness, I had just grabbed the wrong paper. The newsprint is used for another card, but this one, we're using our page collage, and I just love this paper. It is so versatile. So again, I'm just going to cut it in half quickly. And then we are going to, if you can see my example here, we need to cut out I didn't get these dimensions written in your books. So the burlap garden tool tan, you want that piece of paper to be cut to a 3 by 5. And then the blueberry fresh gesso, you want that piece to be 3/4 inches by 5 inches. So you can have those cut out ready to go. And then we need to cut out a wooden gift tag. And for these, I am using my big scissors because I can just be quick and fast. Some of you may prefer to use your trimmer, and that is awesome as well. Okay, so we have our wooden tag cut out. And then we need to cut out our little cactus. And this one doesn't have any of the little prickly things, so it cuts out a little bit faster. Just trim it up a little bit so I have my little pot cut out. Now, I couldn't help myself. I did add a little flower in the card cutout. It's orange, so I did go I was a little bit brave there, but they look really cute on the cactus as well. But I didn't think it was as appropriate if I were making a card for a man. So I won't cut that one out, but feel free to add it for any project that you're working on that it feels appropriate. We're almost done with this little guy. And when I get this done, I will just adhere this to the wooden tag. And then we'll do the other steps as well. I'm just coming back. There's a little bit of a chunky part there. So I've got that. I've got all of our pieces cut out. We'll go ahead and fold our card in half. I don't know, have any of you tried? I think all of the succulents, the cactuses, those plants are all so cute, but I've decided I am better at raising them on paper than I am. We made the cutest little card, the cutest little planters with cactuses, but mine didn't survive. So we just want it just a little bit off the edge, and we want our pot to be down here. And again, I am going to use mounting tape because I want that added dimension. So I'm going to do, and I'm okay to not put mounting tape on every little piece because I think as they kind of add their own dimension if they're not pushed flat against the paper as well. So that looks like about right. Get another little piece for our pot. So we'll put our pot on. Now we're going to work on the little blue pennant here and the background of the burlap. So for the burlap, we'll do that first. I just took it and ripped it. Now you notice that if I rip this way, I see the white edge. If I were to turn it over and rip, the white edge is on the part I'm ripping off. So you can decide which effect you want, and you can make this just as rugged and rustic as you like. So I left it so my white was showing, and I also ripped up the back because we do have part of it that folds over on the back. Then what I did, and you could use your antique inking if you wanted along this, but then I just used my fingernail and kind of scuffed and scratched at it, and it kind of rolls over and makes it even a little more rustic feeling. Get some good little paper curls going on it. And then all you'll want to do is you take your piece, and it almost goes to the edge. And now this doesn't have to be exactly as shown on the picture, so don't worry about that. And then you just fold over the remaining little piece. And now we're going to use our double-sided tape to mount those down. You guys, I am so glad we're at camp. I cannot believe it's finally here. And I really can't believe it's our 3rd year of coming to camp. And I'm going to put a little bit on this folded piece here too. We have had some fun times at camp. I don't think I'll ever forget when the bears came into the camp on our year 1. That was quite the excitement. I'm not hoping for bears this year. Okay, for the second piece, I just like to come in maybe 1/4 of an inch and kind of about halfway. It doesn't have to be perfect, and just cut the little pennant. And again, I am just going to take my fingernail and scuff up this as well. Now, if you prefer not to have the pennant cut, you could just do that as a square paper as well. I think that would be just as cute. And of course, you could do this with any color. I just liked how this fresh gesso coordinated with our pot of that cactus. And again, you'll come into the little pennant areas and kind of scuff those up in this end. And then I just had it so it hung out a little bit over where the burlap was. So again, I'm just going to fold it there. And now I'm going to come back and add some double-sided tape. Whoops. And And it's kind of towards the bottom. Now the last step for this card, I'm going to come back to our card cutout. And I am just going to crudely cut out these words. And they say, looking sharp even at your age. That just really cracked me up. I thought that was so funny. And you can cut them as close as you want. And we're going to make them kind of like a mixed media. So they don't have to be perfect. It's just a way to add a message to our little card here. And I just realized I didn't grab the ink. So if you'll just wait 1 second for me. Okay, I've got my ink and I am using the Distressing Ink by Tim Holtz, and I'm using the old paper color. And I am just going to go ahead and hook on my tag, and I'm just using double-sided tape, and you can position it however you want on your card. So we've just done this, and now I want to just distress these little tags. And what I do, and you might have a favorite way, but I just really kind of brush the edges, and it just kind of makes a little bit of a mess actually. But it's a cute mess, so we'll just ink the edges, and however it falls in the middle is just perfect. And now for this, we do want to use our double-sided tape or some sort of adhesive. And when I'm using the double-sided tape, it's kind of handy because if my piece was too big, I can just fold it back over. So we'll set this one aside. I'll get my next one done. Okay, I'm going to turn this to face me just because it's a little easier for positioning. So looking sharp, even at your age. I just think that is a crack up. Now, you could also do this on the inside. Like, I could take these and put them on the inside, and they would be cute there too. So you have many different options as to what you can do. One finishing touch though, I'm going to bring these back out to the front. One little finishing touch, I took a piece of jute, and I know I cut a little piece here. Well, I'll just cut a new little piece. And then I just tied a loose knot. Just like so. And you know, I have noticed that different jutes have a different thickness. So if you have a jute that's thicker like this one than I used in the sample originally, you can twist it and take off 1 or 2 strands, however thick you might want your knot to be. I'm just going to go for 1 strand. And again, I'm just going to tie a very loose knot. And then I am going to use glue dots to adhere it to my card. Glue dots are so easy when you're working with something as fine as this. Now you could have made it a bow or however what you wanted. And then I'm just trimming it. But look how cute. And we actually made a card for a man. It was so fun. I can't wait to see what you create. Happy camping. I'm so glad we're back at camp.